Welcome back to the Now Morning Show. It's just 23 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock in Trinidad and Tobago, and it's time to shine a spotlight on the Principals Research Awards 2024.
Researchers are problem solvers making a way for the future. This morning, we have Professor Rosemary Antoine, Principal of UWI St. Augustine Campus, joining us on set to chat a bit about the Principals Research Awards 2024 coming up this week. Good morning to you, Professor.
Good morning, good morning. Thank you for having us.
Not a problem at all. How are you doing this morning?
Apart from being a little sleepy, I'm fine. You know, we had our marathon yesterday, so I was up early for that.
So you're up early 2 days in a row? Yes, you'll understand the pressure. So how did the marathon go yesterday?
It was wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
Nice.
And I think the other one has closed, so now we are the premier marathon in the country.
That's what we're talking about. All right, so speaking of the premier in the country, of course, also the premier research facility, I would say, in the country as the University of the West Indies. Tell me what makes this year's Campus Principal Research Awards and Conference a bit unique?
Well, I think you started in the right vein, not just the premier, but I dare to say the only institution that is really devoted to research, because as a tertiary institution, we don't just teach or lecture, but a big part of what we do is actually research. And it is because of the research, more than anything, and the sort of groundbreaking research that we've done for 70-something years of our existence, that's why we are ranked among the best in the world.
Tell me, how does that research work in terms of practicality and implementation, and how does it support the industries that you're researching for?
Very good question, yes, because sometimes people think research is just something esoteric that you put in a journal. There's some of that too, but most or a lot of what we do, and certainly my emphasis as principal, it is for researchers is impactful to your community and to the region. Of course, that includes Trinidad and Tobago, and in University of the West Indies in general. In fact, one of the reasons why it was formed was because of research and development to aid in sort of genuine development across the region. So we've always had that partnership with the public sector, governments, with the private sector to fuel growth in all areas, whether it's science, whether it's agriculture, whether it's medicine. You know, we started off with medicine and agriculture, and of course social sciences. So there's a very clear connection. It is research that is rooted in the community, and it is for the society.
And I mean, I know that you, like you mentioned, you have all the partnerships and all the relationships. So I know this year the keynote address speaker is the Minister of Finance, Colin Mumbu. Tell me, do you have any idea as to what attendees can expect from the minister in his speech?
Does anybody know what to expect from the minister? No, not at all. The reason we thought it was important to have him is because we are emphasizing in our new strategic goal, this is the University of the West Indies, the revenue revolution. So we had the AAA, the access alignment, and so on, and now we've gone to that second step. So at St. Augustine, we have been really focusing on that. I suspect we are leading in some ways because, for example, we have the most patents than in all of the UWI, and we have probably the largest research agenda as well. But what we've been trying to do is to convert research into practical commercial products.
Okay.
So whether it is, for instance, last year our lead researcher was Christine Carrington. I'm sure you've heard of her.
Yeah, we had to interview her.
Exactly, and she was our top researcher last year. She's a really good example of research and really being relevant to what's happening. So she was instrumental. Her work on genome sequencing was instrumental in the whole COVID effort.
Of course.
And then she went on since last year, of course, with the campus's blessing and support to secure a grant and a fund. You'll be hearing big things. I don't want to steal her thunder, but you're going to have some new developments in terms of lab work and so on, pioneering work from that. So that's just one example, but we want to commercialize. We want to, whether it is sealant products for roofing compounds that we've invented, whether it's the pesticides that the faculties of science and agriculture have invented, whether it is some leading research in antibiotic resistance, which could, if you get the sort of the funding and to move forward can make real breakthroughs. All of these, we see that there's a dollar value in addition to the social value.
Now, the patents that you said you have, those do generate income?
Well, some patents take a long time to. That's one of the things about commercialization and research and development. It's one of the weaknesses in our part of the world that we don't put our money where our mouths are. So like the top countries in the world in terms of research, like the Asian tigers and of course the Chinas and the USAs and so on, there's a percentage of their budget that goes into research and development. Let us take pharmaceuticals. We may well have, or Professor Ramsubag may well have the answer to the problem of antibiotics are becoming less effective because so his research is on that, and he's made great strides. But we don't have the billion-dollar pharmaceutical industries that would give us all these millions of research. So what tends to happen is that our top researchers, and especially our PhD students who work with them, they go off to the Harvards and the Cambridges and
place
so
where
on.
they can get access to the funding.
So, it would be good if this region would start developing that consciousness in order to develop research so that it can have a monetary value.
And that's
that's where we are. That's where we're trying to focus now. And I think somebody who was himself an academic many years ago, and who's this is the minister. You may not have known this, right? But I think they will appreciate the sort of the commercial value. So the research awards is of course to incentivize research and to award those who have done great research, but it's also to promote research.
And that's what I was now going to say, is to put a spotlight on it and to highlight it a little bit more so people see the value.
And not just for the academic community, but for all of the region to see, and I mean region Latin America as well, because we get a lot of interest sometimes from those countries to see, okay, research is not what I said in the beginning, this esoteric thing in a little book hidden away.
But it's also not just theoretical, right? The idea is to have research that is applicable.
Exactly.
Okay, I understand we have 2 new awards that we're introducing this year.
Well, the one that is really probably quite exciting is the HARE Award, the Hurricane and Earthquake.
Right. I know what to say, HARE.
All right. Nice, have a nice catchy name.
So are you doing research into hurricanes and earthquakes?
Well, it occurred to me after that last hurricane that we are known, of course, we are one of the most vulnerable regions in the world. We all know that. And the university itself has been named as the lead university by the UN in climate change, because we have been doing that research for many, many years, whether it's marine, whatever. And it just occurred to me that we should be doing even more in terms of research and impactful community activism even and development in this area. So we launched this award. But the interesting thing about this award, it's not just for UE. It's for the entire public, the school children, the public servants, and so on. We did some promotions, and we did get quite a few applications.
Nice.
I don't know the exact number, but we weren't sure whether anybody would bite, because it's a bit unusual. As I said, research is not a thing that we're famous for in the country. But we did get quite a few applications, so we were very excited. And the thing about that award is that it is multidisciplinary, because you can do research that impacts and alleviates hurricane and earthquake and disasters. You can do it in science, you can do it in agriculture, you can do it in social science, in medicine. There are many ways in which you can approach alleviation of the disastrous effects. So that, I think, for me is my favorite one this year.
And there's another one that you're introducing as well?
Well, we always like, best researcher in this discipline, best new, we have, I think, the best new emerging researcher type of thing.
Okay.
But the hurricane and the HARE one
that's
is
the standout one.
It's unusual.
All right. So, well, besides that hurricane one, the HARE, are there any other standout research projects that you've seen that affect regional changes?
In hurricane and disaster?
No, generally speaking. Any other research projects?
I think probably all of the research that will probably win prizes, and incidentally, I'm not on the prize-winning panel.
Of course.
I don't see like, but I have a sense of what's happening on the campus, and I think there are many, many good contenders. For example, we have a huge project from the Faculty of Engineering and with some input on science that's looking at flooding in Trinidad, right? That is like a multi-million. That is really wonderful research. I mentioned to you the organic pesticides. That's one I think whenever we go, we've started to go in the rural areas, as you know, we on the move. I don't know if you've heard of it, we've been going. And whenever we display those products, we get a lot of interest, in terms of. So I've already mentioned the ones with COVID, genome sequencing, and I've mentioned Prof. Ramsebag, I've mentioned our sealants. We have work going on in Sargassum. There's so, I always say this university is so rich, this campus in particular, so much is going on. So really, I have an easy job just to try to highlight.
All right, so in terms of highlighting, if a business person is looking on now and saying, how can research benefit me? Why should I be investing in research?
Well, quite apart from the fiscal incentives, because of course we don't pay tax, which is an important one. That is another thing that we've been saying to the private sector. And I know the Chamber of Commerce has contacted us to do a joint symposium next year. So I think we're seeing some results in terms of that partnership. But this is exactly it. If you're a top-notch company, you need research and development. And who better than the University of the West Indies? So we've always done partnerships. Sometimes we've done it quietly, maybe one person or two persons quietly, but we want to do more with the private sector in terms of their own products, in terms of their own, whatever it is they offer. And we feel that we, apart from being cutting edge, apart from being an accredited institution that has a long tradition in research, we also have the capacity, not just in a particular area, but multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary capacity. And certainly I do believe that today that is where you need to be. Whatever you do, there are different angles to it. Say the same COVID. We've done the only study that we know of in terms of the mental health effects of COVID. So the COVID was so, oh my gosh. So we feel that companies, if they were to partner with the University of the West Indies, they really could be the cutting edge of their own products and their own organization.
And the Principals Award, the Research Awards is happening this week, Thursday and Friday.
This week, Thursday is the actual awards ceremony. And on Friday, we have sort of like a conference displaying and speaking about some of the awardees. Last year, we had the full festival.
With all the research projects on display and all that.
But we're going to do that every 2 years. But this year, the second day would be the researchers speaking about their work. It will still be interesting, but not like with everything, the posters last year. But the awards will... I think people are looking forward to them. They're with a lot of excitement in terms of,
As it should be. Professor, I have to thank you so very much for waking up this early and joining us on the Now Morning Show. And of course, congratulations on the Principals Research Awards 2024. We look forward to businesses coming on board to work with the UE to be able to, assist with further research and development and hopefully more applications so that we can get research commercialization. That's the idea. So we're trying to get to that more. Thank you again so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. You have a great day.
We take a quick break and we come back with more on the Now Morning Show. Stick around.